What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the College Sports Connection podcast, where Double A, Alex, and AJ host the Mid-American Conference Best.
Everybody, welcome back to the College Sports Connection podcast. I'm your host, Alex the Captain. Joining me, as always, AJ the Guru.
What's going on, everybody?
AJ, welcome back. Took a couple weeks off here. You had kind of a big event happen in your life, something about getting married in Montana.
Yeah, the lady and I got married a couple of weeks ago. So we kind of just flew out to Montana, where she's from, out to Bozeman, kind of under the radar. Didn't tell anybody. Went out there and did it. Had a lot of fun. It was nice to get away. Saw some snow. 2 of our 3 days there, it snowed, so that was exciting.
Sure.
One nice day was 60 degrees, so take what we can get.
Right.
Yeah, we did. That was a lot of fun. I know we FaceTimed you from out there.
Yep.
Our other family and friends, so it was fun. Doesn't feel any different though. I mean, we still live in the same one-bedroom apartment, the same jobs, so nothing's changed too dramatically.
Well, there you go. But definitely congrats to both of you guys. I've known Faith, obviously, for a long time. I've known you now for about 4 years. And, I'm really happy for both of you and looking forward to celebrating that moment with you guys here later on this year.
Yeah, it'll be in October. It'll be a lot of fun.
Sure. So we took some time off from that, guys. That was great for AJ, great for the show. Happy for them. But now we're going to kind of get back on schedule. Gonna talk some NFL draft real quick. And when I say really quick, I mean really quick, because we're not going to talk about it. Draft analysis has been through the roof. I'm sick of it. AJ, I'm sure you're sick of it. It's been insane.
Yeah, it really has been over the last, I'd say, almost month. I guess the month, I would say. It's kind of, these experts just kind of picking at straws, trying to find some things to talk about.
Sure.
And obviously not having a combine, that hurt a little bit. Some of these guys, but then again, you look at some of these guys' pro days and they, blew it up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think a lot of these scouts, and I think everybody's just kind of tired of just watching these guys. I think they're ready to see them get drafted starting tomorrow night.
Yeah, it starts tomorrow night. I believe 7:00 is when the draft starts.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
It'll be fun to see, especially in Cleveland. I know they'll do a great job of hosting it. They have a really cool facility right on the lake. Looks really cool over there towards, I believe it's towards the airport there at Lakeshore Airport. Okay. So should be fun to watch. We'll see. Obviously, the most of the talk is the first top 10, especially with all the quarterbacks that will be taken in the top 10. But none of them are MAC quarterbacks.
Nope.
But we have one MAC player who will probably be drafted. But there'll be a ton of undrafted free agents, and that's usually either seventh round or undrafted free agents. That's usually how it goes in the MAC. Look at guys like Willie Snead, for example. He was undrafted out of Ball State, picked up by the Browns. Got cut after preseason, but he's done himself pretty well.
Sure.
Having found a new home out there in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, you got guys like Willie Snead from Ball State, goes undrafted. You get a Julian Edelman who converts from a college quarterback in the MAC over at Kent State to a wide receiver. And we saw the incredible career he had in New England. He went in the 7th round. You look at guys like Josh Cribbs, who, 3-time NFL Pro Bowler, as our opener says. He had a phenomenal career from the MAC. Antonio Brown, another draft pick late from the MAC. You have, you just have all these guys who have performed well in the MAC, but the MAC often gets looked at as an inferior conference. So the players are allegedly or supposedly inferior. Hasn't always been the case. I think Jarrett Patterson is looking to be the guy who gets drafted the highest this year out of the MAC. I'm seeing some 2nd round talk for him, 2nd, 3rd round talk consistent. And that's pretty consistent for MAC players. Who are the kind of the cream of the crop, the exception being, was it Eric Fisher?
Yeah, Fisher's role, yeah.
Yeah, so
I don't know if he has a job now, does he? Didn't he get released by Kansas City?
I thought he got traded.
I thought he was released.
He very well could have been released, but I thought he was traded.
As of 4 days ago, Fisher in talks with several teams.
Oh, so yeah, he does not have a job as of right now.
Now, I guess the heavy rumor is Minnesota.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. And I think he would do well up there too. I mean, that's a system that he could really benefit from. And I mean, he's had a great career with Kansas City, 117 games. Like, I mean, the guy even has a touchdown, 2 Pro Bowls, 8 years with Kansas City. I mean, he's had a phenomenal career. Getting a few years up in Minnesota wouldn't be all bad for him.
Not at all.
So yeah, I mean, you look at the MAC as a general rule. A lot of people just kind of underrate the MAC, but you see guys in the MAC doing very well. Again, Deontay Johnson out of Toledo, one of the best receivers in the AFC North right now. You've got Kareem Hunt, one of the best running backs in the AFC North. Ben Roethlisberger has had a great career, been pretty stellar. It's just a constant churn of look at what these guys do. Scotty Miller, another example of a MAC guy who went undrafted out of Bowling Green, just won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. So there's a lot of guys who do really, really well that just seem to fly under the radar. But I think, when we had Jared Pugsley on back in August, he mentioned those guys go into the NFL with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and they just play with a little bit more fire, a little bit more passion because they want to prove they belong. So I think they definitely showcase that.
Definitely. And, another guy I just thought of too, who was picked in the 3rd round, unfortunately didn't have as good of an NFL career as he thought he would. That was Dre Archer out of Kent State.
That's right.
He was a 3rd round. He was a 3rd round pick by Pittsburgh. The kid, he was like Kareem Hunt when he was at Kent State. He ran over everyone.
Yeah, he was a workhorse. And when I say workhorse, I don't mean this guy, showed up for 100 yards a game and an occasional score. No, that felt like this guy could score from anywhere on the field.
He hasn't been in the league since 2016.
Has it really been that long?
Been that long.
Wow.
He was drafted, in 2013. Let's see here. He didn't score 1 touchdown in the NFL either. He was a MAC Special Teams Player of the Year in 2012, first team All-MAC 2012, consensus All-American in 2012. We have 2014 draft pick, 3rd round, 97th overall.
Okay.
That was a bump. I thought he was going to do really well.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's one of those things, right? You look at it and, again, not every player is going to pan out in the NFL. Just like every player from the big conferences don't always pan out in the NFL. You look at how many former Alabama quarterbacks are in the NFL successful. Ohio State has put how many quarterbacks into the NFL and they're not playing anymore. Michigan has tried to put quarterbacks in the NFL since Tom Brady. Hasn't really worked out for him. So the NFL isn't, everybody thinks that, oh, well, you go to a big school, you'll go to the NFL. Sure, you may have a better chance of getting to the NFL, but that doesn't, just because you get there doesn't mean you're going to be successful. And I think that a lot of people forget that. And I really love to sit down and look at the numbers and see draft to being brought into the NFL numbers. I'd love to see how that compares and who's panned out for which conferences and just see how the MAC stacks up. Because I think that'd be an interesting comparison to see where they rank in terms of percentage wise. Success stories in the NFL. And when I say success, I mean, I'm talking, not bounced around team to team, play a few snaps here or there. I'm talking have at least a 5-year career where they've had consistent success, right?
Well, speaking of that, I pulled up here on the NFL Net or on the NFL's page here.
Sure.
So top 10 players from the MAC. Michael Turner was drafted in 2004 in the 5th round, played 9 years. Played 4 in San Diego and 5 in Atlanta. Had himself a nice career. Greg Jennings out of Western Michigan. I mean, who could forget about him? He was a 2nd round pick to Green Bay. Let's see here. That would ads. Phil Viapino, who's a linebacker BG back in the 60s and 70s.
Okay.
Played for the Raiders. Keep going here. James Harrison out of Kent State. Forgot about him. He wasn't even drafted.
No, he wasn't.
And he had a 10-year career. Yeah, he had a 10-year career with the Steelers and the Bengals. Jason Taylor out of Akron, he was a 3rd-round pick to Miami.
Everybody always forgets that he went to Akron. I always forget he went to Akron.
Sure. Antonio Gates wasn't drafted out of Kent State. He became a legendary tight end and played 10 years at San Diego. It was an 8-time Pro Bowler.
Yep.
As well. Ben Roethlisberger, obviously, 1st-round pick. Randy Moss, technically, when Marshall was in the MAC at the time.
Yep.
So he was a 1st-round pick.
That Marshall team was so good too. I mean, you look at
they were
Dante Culpepper. Got Randy Moss. Like Marshall, when they were in the MAC the 2nd time back in the 90s and early 2000s, they were just so good at football.
They really were. And here, number 1, they have Jack Lambert out of Kent State, who was in the Pro Bowl Hall of Fame. I forgot that he was a MAC guy as well. So a couple names that I kind of, oh, wow, it's been a while since I've heard that one.
Sure. Yeah, no, a lot of great guys have come from the MAC and have had successful careers, like you mentioned. So it's good to see those names. But honestly, my draft analysis, Jarrett Patterson, 2nd or 3rd round draft pick, Dwayne Eskridge, 4th or 5th round draft pick. I know there's a couple defensive guys, but if you want draft analysis, and I hate being that guy, if you want draft analysis, you type in NFL draft and you'll see 700 articles right there talking about who's going to do what, who's going to do this, where they're going to go. And honestly, it's all a crapshoot until those guys get out there onto the field, play their games, show what they can do. These draft experts they go based off their numbers, as you should do, but that doesn't always translate. And the guys that you don't even talk about sometimes end up having really, really great careers.
And I feel really bad for not saying this name's Khalil Mack. How could we forget about him?
Right.
But here on the
Max, Buffalo,
exactly. Here on the Max webpage, they have 69. Let's see here, 69 former student athletes from the MAC on NFL rosters.
Nice.
We'll pull up the list here. There's some names I've totally forgotten about. Obviously Kareem Hunt, JoJo Natson in Cleveland.
Sure.
Kenny Galladay, he's a Northern Illinois guy.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Prater, Central Florida, when they were in the MAC.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Carey, I didn't realize he was an OU guy. The Colts, the Browns for a long time. Danny Pinter from Ball State. I remember watching him play. Of course, Eric Fisher we talked about. Max Crosby, the defensive end in Vegas. Storm Norton, from Toledo. He's out in L.A.
Yep.
Let's see here.
I definitely want to have him on the show at some time too.
Sure.
He'd be fun to have.
Cooper Rush, the quarterback. Yeah, he was
from Central, right?
Yeah, he's in New York. The Steelers have a lot of MAC guys, though.
The Steelers love their MAC players, and it works for them.
Ulysses Gilbert from Akron.
Mm-hmm.
Some dude I cannot pronounce his name. Another guy I can't pronounce his name. Deontay John. Big Ben. Robert Spillane from Western.
Yep.
Jerome Elliott from Toledo. Jimmy Ward. I forgot about Jimmy Ward from Northern Illinois. He was a dude back in the day, too. He was a stud.
Yeah, he really was.
Scotty Miller from Tampa Bay this past year had himself a heck of a year.
Mm-hmm.
Corey Davis from Western. Let's see here. Logan Woodside still in Tennessee.
Yes, he is.
So yeah, from Toledo kid. So that's actually I'll tweet this list out. It'll be a lot of fun to look at because there's a lot of names on here. You go, oh crap!
Is David Fluellen still in the league?
David Fluellen.
Is he still listed in the league? Because last I knew he was with Tennessee, he was a running back. And he was the guy who was the predecessor to Kareem Hunt at Toledo.
No, he's not in Tennessee anymore.
Okay.
They'll have to look. I'll tweet this out. It's kind of a fun read here.
Sure. David Fluellen he's currently a free agent. He was signed as an undrafted free agent by the Eagles after the 2014 draft, and then looks like he was either traded or released, and then Tennessee picked him up. He went to Indy, and then he was with Tennessee the last 5 years. So
all 32 teams in the league, there's only 2 teams that don't have a MAC player, and that's Washington and New Orleans.
Well, that explains why they haven't won a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
But we're talking football players here. I did want to kind of talk about the MAC quarterbacks a little bit. The MAC had an unfortunate incident with John Keller, the quarterback at Central Michigan. He's in serious condition up in Mount Pleasant after being shot at an office campus party this past Saturday. It looks like there was another student involved in that shooting as well. They are in stable condition. Keller, I guess he started his career at Cincinnati over in the AAC and then sat out this past season at Central Michigan, but he looked like he was going to be right into the competition for the starting job this year. So definitely sending our best to him and his family and hoping that he can pull through. He's a sophomore, looking at his stuff from Canton, Ohio, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like he's in some serious condition. Definitely wishing the best for him, hoping that he pulls through and makes it out okay. But he has no collegiate stats recorded. Again, started at Cincinnati, was not, obviously did not pan out down there, transferred to Central Michigan and looked to be in competition for the starting job this season. So definitely sending thoughts and prayers to him and his family. Hope that things work out for him and that even if he can't get back to playing football, that he pulls through and ends up having a successful career with whatever else he may pursue.
Definitely. It's definitely a sad situation to say the least.
Sure. But, in keeping with that theme, I do hope that we get the opportunity to hear that story once he pulls through, right? Because I think that's, even if it's doesn't end in him playing football again, it's going to be an incredible story for him to fight back, because a lot of times those guys don't. And so I'll be very, very hopeful and very happy to see a success story in his return to life.
Yeah, without a doubt. Hopefully it's a speedy recovery. He's back on the field here in the fall.
Sure.
Follow this quickly.
Sure. So I want to kind of dive into this one. A couple weeks ago, we mentioned to everybody that we were going to be ranking the MAC stadiums 1 to 12. And I got to tell you, man, I was impressed with the turnout on this thread. A lot of people really showed up, got some love for Ball State, Bowling Green, Western Michigan, Toledo. Just a lot of love for a lot of stadiums. I have to laugh, though, at the one who is probably going to get ranked last. But some of the people have talked about Buffalo. And my favorite response was from Sports Talk Buffalo. And it says this: I have never been to another MAC stadium, and I'm also a big Buffalo fan. With that said, UB Stadium, from a fan's perspective, leaves a lot to be desired. Concourse is small. The track needs to go, makes you feel too far away, and the scoreboard is awful. And I thought that was so funny that people were just dunking on Buffalo Stadium. Another guy, I wish I could say Buffalo. I really wish I could. I was really, really cracking up about that, because Buffalo definitely has one of the smallest stadiums in the MAC as well, because they were a Division III program who moved up the ranks, played Division I AA against the likes of Harvard and Villanova, and now they're playing FBS level with the MAC. So I think that's really funny that they haven't really upgraded their facilities despite moving from Division III up to Division I.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious. I'm going to look up a picture of Buffalo Stadium because I'm just curious to see where it is and kind of what the setting is. Because I had been to Buffalo, but I've been to the Bills Stadium, and it was New Air Field at the time. It's not that anymore. But I'm really curious to see what theirs looks like.
Sure. Their stadium seats 25,000 people. And, I'm sitting here looking at it. They're definitely correct. The track does make it feel so far away. I mean, you look at it, the track is that's rough.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it is kind of rough. That scoreboard's way too low.
Yes. So I'm going to have to say, I'm going to agree with these guys. Buffalo Stadium, definitely 12 on my list. Just not
I
that
wouldn't put
appealing.
it either. Yeah.
Like, I definitely want to attend a game there, don't get me wrong, but not that appealing in terms of being a stadium.
No, yeah, definitely not.
So that's my number 12. It sounds like you're on the same track there.
Yeah, I'm good there.
All right, cool. That works for me. My number 11. I hate doing this because I really like the facility, but the atmosphere is terrible. Akron. They have a beautiful stadium, but it's just, I really like the one end zone with the scoreboard, how they have the grass, kind of the field underneath it that's slanted, looks like they have student seating there where students can come out and sit. And then the other side, they've got the football facility, which looks really cool. And the tiers of it look really, really great. But I don't know, to me, it just doesn't look that welcoming overall. And I'm sure that a lot of that has to do with the fact that the football program has not been very successful the last few years. But it looks like a rough facility.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to put Akron 2 down there at the bottom. And you mentioned it there. The football program has not been the greatest as of late. So, that takes away the atmosphere. It takes away from the fun of it. And two, and I've never been there, but having watched it, I feel like it's kind of like it's like Assembly Hall at IU. It's very vertical.
Sure.
And so that's just what it looks like on TV anyway. But then again, things where, it's hard to really tell when there's, 100 people there on a Wednesday night.
Sure. And that's an issue with all the MAC stadiums, right? So
Depends on where you're at.
Sure. All right. So for me, Akron, I've got them at number 11. Just leaves a lot to be desired. Did you have a different 11, or you want to stick with Akron on this one?
Let's go to Akron. I'm pulling it up here right now, and it just looks like too big of a stadium to be on that campus.
Yeah. No, I can definitely agree with that. I mean, it's a nice facility, don't get me wrong, just not appropriate for what Akron brings to the table with football. Moving on up my list, I have, and this may surprise you, I have Eastern Michigan at number 10.
I was going to put them down there too for one reason.
That turf.
Turf.
Same page right here. I love it. Yeah,
and they have a track around it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's the idea of the gray turf I like it, in theory, but the execution was terrible.
Yeah,
it's not a good look.
Yeah, it's really not. Like, I'm looking at an aerial picture of it right now, and it's just not a good look. It doesn't help. A couple of years ago, they took those sledgehammers to those bricks when they were trying to come out onto the field. Mm-hmm. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, it
was poorly executed.
Well, didn't they try to break through a wall and then just couldn't break through the wall?
Pretty much.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, right? Is they call it the factory.
Yeah.
Which, again, I get, you're showing strength by utilizing the industry name and, look, we're here, we're powerful, we're going to work, we're going to make you work. But it's almost too perfect for how awful it is in terms of name as well as execution. So for me, sorry, Eastern fans, sorry, Eagles, you're sitting at number 10 on my list.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're going to be on number 10 just because of that turf. I mean, you don't really need another explanation besides
the turf. I've got number 9, Dick's Stadium over at Kent State. Now, this one was hard for me. I really like the facility. Like, the stadium as a whole is not bad. However, it just doesn't do much for me. It leaves a lot to be desired. It's a two-sided stadium. It's very open, and it looks cool when it's full, but you've got the one end zone with the scoreboard with a giant concourse that's nothing but concrete and brick. And then you've got random pillars. by the scoreboard, which again looks cool, but that's a lot of potential seating you just ate up. And then on the other end, they've got kind of a half circle thing, or not a half circle, but a half stadium thing, if you will, at the other end zone. And it just, I don't know, to me, it just, there's a lot of space that's not being utilized properly. And the end zone seating is not very close to the field. It makes you feel like you're 100 feet away. And it just, not very appealing. I think the field logos could use some updating as well. But yeah, it doesn't look to be the best. So they are number 9 for me.
You're number 9. Okay, my number 9 is going to be OU.
Okay.
Peden Stadium down there in Athens. And, I'm looking at it. It looks like a glorified high school stadium.
Okay.
If there's a lot to do. You could do so much with it. But it just looks kind of plain. Now, maybe they have done upgrades and this. I haven't seen any good pictures of it.
Sure.
But yeah, if you're looking at it here, it looks like a high school or Texas high school football stadium.
Yeah. So they were my number 8. So we weren't really too far off on that one. I do like the exterior of the stadium. Athens is really well known for all their brick, right? That's like a big thing for them.
Yeah.
So I really like that they have the brick facade on the outside, and they do a lot of cool things with the brick layering. But I agree with you. Definitely looks like a Texas high school football stadium. Not overly impressive. I mean, they always fill the stadium. They always do a really great job with getting people to attend and go to games there because they're relatively successful as a program. But it definitely leaves a little bit more desired, I think, if you're a fan, than what their amenities currently allow for. Now, the campus surrounding it, absolutely gorgeous. It's right there on the Hocking River, across from their convocation center. Like, they've done a really nice job with placing it. They've just not done much to really improve it. Although I do have a fun fact for you, something that a lot of people don't know. Ohio University is the only MAC football team that has a claimed national championship in football.
Is that right?
That is right. It happened in 1968, I believe, is when that championship occurred. And they, let me take, I could be very wrong on that. Yeah, it was 1968 is what it looks like they claimed their national championship with. And what I really like about this team, or with what they did with this program, is it's still recognized in the NCAA record book because they finished number 1 in the nation. That was the only reason. That was back before they had their bowl rankings and their bowl finishes. Sorry, it was 1960, not 1968. So they have one claimed national title in the college division of the NCAA for college football. So that is your now 61-year-old national championship that one MAC school gets to celebrate. So that's kind of a cool thing.
There we go.
So I had them at my number 8. I know you had them at your number 9. Where are you going for your number 8?
I'm gonna go by number 8 is Kent State.
Okay. So just got them interchanged there.
Yeah, it's got them switched up there. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm looking for information on here. And in 2012, KSU drew nearly just shy of 90,000 fans. And it was pretty much people wanting to come see Dre Archer play.
Yep.
And so, because, you'll notice this too in a lot of MAC schools, they have lawn seating, on the ends. Ball State does.
Yep.
OU does. A few of the other places do. So you kind of pack them in there. But yeah, I'm going to go Kent. That is one stadium I haven't been to. I definitely want to go check it out.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm definitely going to go KSU there.
Okay. Yeah. No, again, it's a solid facility. Nothing really special. Some cool things, but nothing. It's definitely not the bottom of the MAC, but I'm not putting them in my top 5.
No, definitely not.
Moving on from there, and this is where it got hard for me, right? Because you've got a lot of great stadiums. You've got, Kelly Shorts up in Central Michigan. You've got Waldo Stadium in Kalamazoo. You got the Glass Bowl. You've got, and this is where my number 7 comes in, Deutsch Perry Stadium in Bowling Green.
Mm-hmm.
I have been to 2 football games there, Toledo Bowling Green games. Both times, it was like sitting in a wind tunnel. And
Yeah.
I'm sure every college student will know what I'm talking about. You've got that one spot on campus that the wind is blowing at you no matter what direction you're walking, and it sucks when you're walking through that in the winter. It was like that the entire time sitting in Deutsch Perry Stadium. Deutsch Perry is not a bad facility, and I hate saying that as a Toledo guy. Deutsch Perry is not a bad facility. However, it is impossible in November to sit in a wind tunnel with the wind howling at your face. You're getting frostbite, for no reason. It's 40 degrees out, but the wind makes it feels like it's 10. It is absolutely awful. And for that alone, the band's great. The amenity's great. It's got 2 open end zones. They recently added a building to the one end zone, which makes it look a little bit fuller. But that is the biggest reason right there as to why Deutsch Perry Stadium sits at number 7 on my rankings.
I've been to Deutsch Perry, but never for a game. I was just on campus and the gate was open, so I walked in.
Okay.
But I definitely do want to attend a game there. Just looking at the aerial view, it does look definitely cool. It would be fun to go check out at least once in your life.
Sure.
For my 7 here, I'm probably gonna go Kelly Shorts. Or are we number 7 right now?
Yeah, we're on number 7.
So yeah, I'm gonna go Kelly Shorts up there in Central, up in Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
Let's see if I can pull it up here. Yeah, it holds 30,255. Open in 1972, and my phone will load here with this information here. It just looks kind of plain.
Yeah.
Nothing too extravagant, nothing too exciting about it. The grandstands don't go up that tall, that far, I should say. On the far side, I should say, just from this picture. But those colors too are kind of hard to look at on a field. That golden maroon or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's a little tough to look at.
No, that's fair. I've been to Kelly Shorts once, and I don't think it's a bad stadium. I actually had them at my number 6. So yeah, they definitely could be better. You look at the facility as a whole, it's not bad. And I was there for a night game, and the night atmosphere is pretty cool. But yeah, I'm with you. It does leave a lot to be desired. Their maroon and gold is definitely hard to look at on the field because it's close enough to the Minnesota maroon and gold, but it's got enough off that it's not as appealing as the Minnesota maroon and gold.
Right. And their gold is more like a gold, you know, and then Central's is more like not gold, but not yellow. It's wherever.
It's a mix. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Again, I had them at my number 6. You had them at your number 7. I can definitely agree with that. I could be persuaded to put them at my number 7, but I think I'm going to keep them at number 6. But yeah, Kelly Shorts, I enjoy the facility as a whole. It's the colors make it tough to watch football on that field.
Yeah, then I guess my 6 now, since you already said yours, I'm going to go Waldo up there in Kalamazoo.
Sure.
30,200, built in 1937. It's so funny too, looking at like the figures, how much it cost to build in 1937, $250K.
Yeah.
That's one stadium I've never been to. I definitely do want to check it out. Just looking at pictures and things like that, I don't know. Their bleachers, it's very weird how they're configured. If you look at it, very like just narrow. They're good. That's the word, narrow. But maybe it looks better in person. I do like it though because it is right off the highway. It makes things a heck of a lot easier to get in and out of there. But I'm gonna go Waldo there for my 6th.
Okay. Well, you are following me on my list. I actually have them at 5 for a lot of the same reasons you had them at 6, right? It's a pretty solid facility overall. Waldo has survived 2 floods, So I
Yes.
don't know if that tells you that they're bad at irrigation or that it's a really resilient stadium, but here we are. I really, really like the facility as a whole. I think the Bronco in the middle of the field looks great. But yeah, I mean it's a very square stadium. Like it's a very boxy stadium. And that's something that does kind of bug me a little bit. Yeah, and when I think of stadiums, I think of, bowls or something a little bit more rounded. This one, it's very directionally square. So that
Mhm.
does bug me just a little bit.
A little bit. All right, so my fifth now, I'm going to go Schumann down here in Muncie Stadium. I spent a lot of time at. So much fun, such a great place to see a game, and they've done renovations since I've been or since I've been gone. They've actually just finally got. I think it's either. Yeah, I think it is done now. Actually, their indoor facility
Mhm.
over to the north of the stadium northeast rather looks really really good.
Sure.
But it's a fun time or a fun place to see a game. I was lucky to be there in 2013 when we were really good, and the stadium was sold out every week. But then I was also there when we were really bad, and you can get 200 people in there. So I've seen both ends of it. Kind of like most of us MAC alumni, we've seen that at all of our stadiums at one point or
Mhm.
another in our 4 years there.
Sure.
But Schumann, I really do like it too because of the grass seating they have over in the east end zone, or the west end zone, excuse me, uh, right under the field goal post. You just bring a blanket, bring a chair, and just sit there and watch the game. It's so much fun to do that.
Sure. Sure. That's one stadium that I actually do want to visit. And I know that we've talked about traveling to Schumann Stadium this year for Toledo versus Ball State for football. And I'm very excited for that because that is one stadium I definitely want to visit. I have at my number 4, however, Miami University. I really, really like Fred Yeager Stadium. It's a classic. It's not a very big stadium. This stadium seats 30,000 people, but the red and white really pop on this field. The press box looks great. The stands are equal size on both ends. They've got the end zone seating similar to what Schumann has. And then they've got the scoreboard at the other end. I've always been impressed with how good Miami's football stadium looks. I love how the red looks on the field.
Yeah, it looks really good. And also, too, they have the Cradle of Coaches sign on the back of the scoreboard. Looks really cool.
Yep.
But something about their stadium that I like is like their lights. I mean, look
Mm,
at their lights. They're not in the stadium. They're on the outside
right.
overlooking. So I
Hmm.
think that really gives it a good look. It looks really good on TV, too. It makes that red and white really pop.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's my number 4. So where are we at for you on your 4?
4, I was going to Miami.
Okay. Okay.
There.
A
My
lot of
number,
same, lot of same things.
yeah. Yeah, my number 3, I'm probably going to have to go with, just looking down my list here.
Think we've got you have Northern Illinois, Toledo, and um who else do you have?
All right, so I lost track here. I've already said Kent. So I've got Toledo, Northern Illinois, and am I on 2 already?
I don't think you're on 2 because I've got you haven't said Bowling Green yet, have you?
No, I haven't. That's what it was. We just had a conversation about B. That's right.
Yeah, we had BG because that was my
No, wait.
number 7, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's right. So yeah, I'll go BG next. I'll
Okay.
go. It's just a spread out stadium. I'm
Mhm.
sure it's gonna be a fun place to watch a game when it's packed.
Sure.
Because that orange and brown does look good on TV.
Sure.
Especially. So I'm gonna go BG Doit Perry.
Okay. So that's your number 3. My number 3, I'm a big fan of Schumann Stadium. I haven't been there. I've always really liked how it looks on TV. I like, Ball State's presentation. You look at the facade of the place and it really jumps out at you. And I've been very impressed with what Ball State has done down there. I really like, the field art. I don't know if this is still that way down there, but I've always liked the red lettering or the red outline on the field numbers. That was something that I always really liked as a fan, just kind of seeing that it makes those numbers pop a little bit. And then obviously the Cardinal in the middle of the field. that looks great, has always looked great. It's a great logo. It is a smaller stadium compared to some of the other MAC stadiums, and it is, for me, similar to what Waldo Stadium is a very kind of boxy stadium. But I don't know, there's just something about it. I really like I said, the facade work and the construction on the north end. It looks great, and it just the video boards look great. Everything in that stadium to me makes it one of the top 3 stadiums in the MAC.
Yeah, the video board was updated when I was down there. It was like at one point it was just like a small movie theater screen, but then they've updated it finally, a little more presentable. Number 2, I'm gonna go the glass bowl up in Toledo. It's funny too because Wednesday night action, they're usually always at Toledo. Because they're always at the end of the season they're primed for a MAC championship run or whatnot, and that blue and gold does look really cool on TV.
Sure.
And the stadium's fun to look at. That stadium is fun when it's packed. And there was a long period there where it was packed just about every home game. So it's really fun to watch because they were getting big Power 5 schools traveling there. I think Miami did at one point, didn't they?
Yeah, Miami did just 2 years ago.
2 years. Yeah.
So did BYU. I mean, I know they're not considered Power 5, but they're a big name program.
Yeah.
Who travels well.
And I think that's one of the few MAC programs I can think that's been able to do something like that in a number of years. So I think that definitely holds some ground to being on that list where it is.
Sure. I'm going to go with you. Glass Bowl is number 2. Being my stadium, being my home stadium, I really, really love the Glass Bowl. Game nights at the Glass Bowl are crazy. The rocket on the outside of the stadium by the stone columns where the players come in, it's magical. The student section with the varsity tee, they call that the launch pad, and it's at the one end zone. I want to say it's the south end zone, and what's really cool about it is that's the entire student section, or most of the student section, and it's this whole blue square, giant blue square with a big yellow tee in it, and the students all sit there. I know that I've seen games where students have actually dressed according to where they sit in the tee. So like they're wearing blue and then yellow. So it looks really cool on TV. But yeah, I mean, Glass Bowl sits at number 2. I hold that one very near and dear to my heart. I've seen a lot of great games there. I've seen upsets. On both sides, Toledo being upset, Toledo pulling upsets. So very near and dear to my heart, which brings us to our number 1. Seems like it's a consensus number 1. And I think I know why. Up at Husky Stadium in DeKalb, Illinois, Northern Illinois. That BCS money really, really kind of put them from being one of the middling conference stadiums up to an elite conference stadium, and it seems like the best conference stadium in our eyes.
Yeah, definitely. I had the opportunity to go there in 2013 for the Ball State game. They had Jordan Lynch and we had Keith Wenning. We took a bus trip from Muncie up there, and it was prime time, like on a Wednesday night. And talk about electricity. What an incredible stadium. And then off to our right, they have a cannon when they score. And so we didn't know about it. They shot the cannon off and scared the hell out of all of us. But it's a very, very cool stadium. Great atmosphere, especially prime time action, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So much fun, especially because they're one of those few teams too. Well, I guess there's become a few more MAC schools over the past couple of years, like alternate jerseys and things like that. Northern Illinois was kind of the head of that.
Sure.
And so they had the black, red, and silver uniforms, and they had the all whites, which looked really good. So I think more MAC schools are following them in that regard, but it just looks really good on that field. And I think location too. I mean, being outside Chicago is convenient.
Sure.
But definitely one place to see a game.
Absolutely. And one of the things, and I know some people kind of don't like this with the stadium, but you look at Husky Stadium, the home stands are double the size of the visiting stands.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That's just intimidating, especially because the rest of the MAC, the stands are pretty even on all sides. Husky Stadium, no, it's just that home side stand, it towers over you as you come out to the field. That, like I said, that can be a little bit intimidating, especially knowing that that's where all the home fans are. It does only seat about 24,000 people, but it's such a beautiful facility. They've got the 2 open end zones with kind of the grass seating. So does leave a little bit more room for them to grow and expand their stadium if they would ever want to. But yeah, I mean, it's state of the art. It's top notch. It looks incredible. Looks great on TV. I love the very subtle outline of the state of Illinois behind the NIU logo on the turf. That's one of my favorite features. And it's one that people don't talk about because it's so very subtle. And so to me, that's just such a cool feature. But yeah, I got to go. Husky Stadium is my number one. Sounds like we were both on the same page on that one.
Yeah, it's funny too, because the outside of that stadium reminds me a lot of a Memorial Stadium at IU.
Yeah.
Kind of the homestead right there, the outside of the stadium. It reminds me very much of Memorial Stadium.
Sure. No, it has that feel. Absolutely. I can agree with you on that. So yeah, that's our top 12 stadiums, or our 1 to 12, I guess, if you will, for the Mid-American Conference. I had a lot of fun looking at these stadiums, and obviously we had a lot of fans chime in with some great stuff. Guys talking about Ball State's classic facade. The tailgating is great. The end zone hill for the families. You had another guy chime in about BG and talking about their stadium, the classic architecture there. Western Michigan, another popular stadium, Glass Bowl. That's coming from a Ball State alum. Just so many people who responded. So thank you to everybody who responded. You guys really kind of gave us some information on some stadiums we were not familiar with, or a little bit less familiar with than we may have liked. So I'm very glad that people responded as in the way that they did. Very, very helpful, and helped me to do a little bit more research on these great facilities. All the stadiums in the MAC overall are pretty great facilities, but definitely the cream of the crop sitting right there up the top. And I think that would be a pretty consistent consensus from the rest of the country as well. A lot of people talking about Northern Illinois, Toledo, Ball State kind of sitting there in their top 3 or 4 from the MAC.
Yeah, definitely. And it's gonna be more fun to get down and see some of these stadiums in person. I know you and I have a goal to do that, to go to at least a few more this year.
Sure.
And just kind of enjoy it. There's hopefully they'll be allowing more fans, which would be exciting. And so, we can't ask for much more.
Absolutely. Well, partner, I think that's going to about do it for me tonight. Was there anything else you wanted to chime in and tack on for the evening?
I think that's good for me. Cool.
Well, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Our website is officially live. I know that I've gotten some positive feedback on it. A lot of people have been checking it out, saying that they really like the design, the layout. So if you guys want to check that out, it is www.thecscpodcast.com. No GoDaddy, no Wix. It's our full domain name, ready, available for you guys to check out. We also are still running our Twitter account. We broke 700 last week, I think, 2 weeks ago. We're now on our way to 750. So keep on moving up the boards. It's good to see. It's great to have that interaction with people. I'm loving the opportunity we have to share Maction knowledge with fellow Mac lovers. So thank you guys for the love and support on that front. I'm having a lot of fun with that. We are also still running the Sidelines Maction podcast, or not podcast. We are still running the Sideline Maction account. So if you guys want to go check that on Twitter, it is SSN_Maction. And then obviously, all those guys doing their hard work over at Sideline Sport Network. Definitely appreciate them giving us the opportunity to work with them. It's been a lot of fun, been great to engage with a lot of the fans and followers through their network as well. So yeah, partner, that's going to do it for me. Anything else?
I think I'm good.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
See ya.